what do you focus on most, speaking of characters? What do you focus on most for your characters, and what were some of the goals that you had for them within these series?
Um, I guess I wanted to see how they grow,
Mhm.
particularly because I'm dealing with teenagers. How do where do they come from first, and all those influences that particularly teenagers are not aware of, all those little interactions they've had in their past that shape how they react and act to things that they don't even realize. And
Yeah.
it's only later with maturity and self reflection that you realize, oh, I know why I did that because. So I wanted I wanted the characters to come to that. I definitely wanted that balance of never having that single hero, um, because I don't think the world works like that. I think we can all be heroic at times, and we can all be really lost and need saving, need someone to come and save us. So I definitely wanted that. Um, and I started to explore that idea of what makes us human, what gives us humanity in the first series. And I particularly touched on it with Michael, um, and what we wanted out of that. And then I felt, and in his way, he came to that and he understood it, and that was great. But I felt in that world and in the bigger picture, I wanted to explore it more. And I do that with Jude because his humanity has been stripped of him in so many ways, biologically and psychologically. And so, how does he retain that humanity? And the people that have done this to them, how can we consider them still human or humane when they did this to him and they did this to the world? So, yeah, I guess that was my goals for all the books. Um, and I noticed one of your questions is, what would you ask one of your characters if you had a chance?
Oh,
And I really had to think of that one because I thought, well, I know what's happening in their heads. I don't know if I'd ask them anything. And then I thought and thought about it, and I thought, actually, yeah, I would ask something. There's this one part in book one where Madeline asks Michael, it's an intimate moment, and she asks him what he misses. And he starts with, it starts quite heavy, and he's like, oh, well, of course, I miss my dad, which is understandable and expected. And then he goes on, I miss a cold slushy, and I didn't get to see the last Fast and Furious film. I miss being able to watch films and things like that. But I think if I had the chance to ask him, I'd go, what don't you miss? What
mm,
after the
that's a
collapse of
good
everything
one.
do you
Yeah.
miss? Particularly working with teenagers. I don't know whether you've heard over there, Australia has just brought this thing in where children under 16 cannot have social media accounts,
Mm.
and it's been quite controversial over here. And that only came in about 4 days ago.
Oh, wow.
And it's really interesting because I think, you know, what by taking that away from kids do they now have the opportunity to have? And obviously in a post-apocalyptic world, all that's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
layer is gone. And what do we then allow ourselves to have instead? So yeah, I think that's what I would ask my
That's
characters.
a great question. Yeah, my mind whirling now. It's so funny because here we just in New York State we just like basically like banned cell phones in schools.
We don't have them either. Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild because like we've been wanting that as educators
Yeah.
for like ever, right?
Yep.
Been in public schools working for since I was 19. I'm like half my life I wanted these cell phones to go away, and they're like, we
Yeah.
can't do that. And then all of a sudden, without us, you know, in the
Mm.
process, we're like, yeah, we're just gonna do that. And it's weird because like at my current school, I'm at a tech school and it's like early college, and like never really had a like big issue with them, honestly. But now our kids like we have a little cabinet, right? They put them in there. Uh, but it's like it hasn't been that big of a change for us because we never really had an issue. But I know there's been a huge shift, so I can only imagine in a post-apocalyptic shift, like how hard that would be. And I'm sure some of your kids there are going to feel that as a post-apocalyptic shift, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be it'd be interesting to yeah to see. yeah, like what they have to say, or maybe some new things that they find in place. But yeah, it's social media is addicting. I tell them, I go, just become a writer and you'll hate social media because you have to advertise. So,
Yeah, I know.
find ways to avoid it. You'll go read another book.
Yeah, I think I'll just go write another book. That's easier. That's easier. I still don't know how to post on TikTok.
Oh my gosh,
I get one of
it's
my
not
kids
fun.
to help me. I go, can
Yeah,
you
yeah,
show me what to do?
yeah. Yeah. It's the loophole for the social media, right? We just make them work for authors. I know so many of you guys over there. I'm sure I could fill up a couple schools at least, like kids. Yeah, that's I think that's how we help everybody.